Take a deep breath with me and bring yourself back to the room. I do this for me. Oh, thank you for traveling with me there. It's an honor to just be in that. Just the truth of who we are together. When you think of it, it doesn't happen very often. You know, we're so busy having fun and doing life and achieving and planning. And I think of the wedding I just did at Namtidja. And in that moment when the couple shares their vows together, there is something that happens to everyone else. You've been to weddings, right? Yeah. At some point, the mind gives way just to the feeling of the heart. And it's about love. It's about the promise of love. It is about perhaps love lost or love present or love fantasized or love growing and evolving. And perhaps it's about the love that exists just within our own heart that we are touching into. You know, our minds make it into something, but perhaps we're just touching into our own heart, which is the love and wisdom of God or life itself. That's a precious moment. It's probably why I keep doing weddings, because I get that over and over again. Have you ever cried for no reason? Deeply cried. Like deeply, profoundly. I'm not like, I cry at commercials. You know, certain commercials. Yeah. Especially if there's little kitties or animals or things like that in them. Not so much babies, you know, but the animals really get me. But I'm not talking about that crying. I'm not talking about crying in response of having compassion, maybe for a dear friend or a family member who's going through suffering. That's also, those are also wonderful tears. But I'm talking about the crying when something just unexpectedly rises within you and you can't find any logical reason for it. And it's like like this phoenix rising. When that passes, what do? What do? Do you think about it? Do you try to figure it out? Or do you just kind of go, whoa, that was cool? Do you just observe it? You know? So things like that happen all the time in our lives, but we don't always observe them because we're too busy focusing on what it is we want to get, or what it is we want to be or do or have in our life. But those are the moments that we might call magic or mystical, that draw our attention completely away from what we were thinking, where we were headed. Have you ever been driving somewhere, gotten there and didn't even remember driving or passing the landmarks? It's like, oh my God, I'm a danger on the highway. I'm not even paying attention to where I'm going. But something within you absolutely knows. It wasn't that you weren't present. You were present. But you just weren't noticing those things outside of you in the physical realm. But you were fully present. And something within us, it's like when they say something, you know, horses can always find their way back to the barn in the worst of blizzards. They just know where to go. They know where to go. And it's interesting with horses because horses will get there faster than they will probably going out into the field. Now, I'm no farmer, but it's like us. You know, it's shorter distance coming back or coming home than it is when you're trying to get somewhere, right? You're going on this great vacation, you can't wait, and it's taking forever to get there. And when you have the vacation and you're done and you're coming home, all of a sudden it was so much faster getting home. It's because it's that anticipation of what is yet to come. What is yet to come fills us with the time and the space, and we notice the things that are stopping us from getting what we want to experience. Often that happens for us. But once we've experienced it, when we're full with the experience, we have really nothing that is standing in our way to getting it because we've already got it. I'm talking today about the creative process in metaphysical terms, of how this unseen energy, this allness, this infinite cosmos happens to find its way into this leaf. How is that? Somebody created this. Somebody had an idea. And then somebody put the idea into action in the way that they could. This is how the essence of God or life, the universal intelligence, in its infiniteness, moves into its finite specific form or particularization. It happens through the creative mind of man. The mind of man itself isn't creative. The creative process of the creator or infinite mind, God mind, moving itself upon an idea through the response it has to receive this idea, which is our thought, directs this allness, this power and presence, into the mold. Now this mold had to already pre-exist in the mind of God. I'm not saying God, as we know God from our earlier teachings, goes, oh yeah, it's time for the autumn leaf. Yep, get those autumn leaves out. All shapes and sizes, colors, textures, because I am infinite after all. I'm not saying that that's what God thinks. I'm saying that man, us, we, have this idea and we move the energy of our thoughts to support this idea. We give this idea energy. We give it a vibration. And this vibration, which is energy, moves out into the subjective universal mind of God, and God responds. It's kind of like throwing a boomerang out. This is the natural creative process. We're a part of it. And this is a very important piece of the creative process. It doesn't just happen to us. God just doesn't say leaf time and throw down a bunch of leaves. God, or universal mind, in which everything exists already in what we call a spiritual prototype, needs to be tapped into, needs to be touched into, needs to be awakened through our thought process and called forward by means of our desire. The creative process. And me is the title of the talk. And me. And so often we allow ourselves to sit out on the sidelines, on the bench, and wait for life to do something, or wait for it to change so that we can step up because now the conditions are right. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, the conditions, like the other door's shut on a relationship, so now I can move forward free and clear into a new relationship. Really. So here is this universal mind with this, I've touched somebody out there. Here is this universal mind with everything just waiting for you to call it. It's like, how many thoughts do we have a day? But we only pick 1 or 2 or 3 really to think about, don't we? But how many thoughts go through our mind? It's like that with God or with intelligence. It's all there. What are we going to choose? We can choose anything we want at any time we want to choose it. It makes no matter, pun here, of what is existing in the relative form in this physical plane of existence that we experience, taste, touch, see, and feel. It doesn't matter. Because whatever exists has existed by means of what we have chosen to direct this universal energy to create before. We are just experiencing it now because it has moved into form. Are we going to define ourselves by that? Are we going to define ourselves by a closed door being the symbol or the opportunity or the reason why now we can move ahead? Are we going to allow ourselves to only take that step into that essence, that unexplainable magic, that mystery that moves us, that is always within us? Are we going to allow something that we have created before be an obstruction to that grand experience of that belonging and connection to that infinite unknown, that sacred place of the Most High? I did for many years. And I created out of that mindset, that mental atmosphere, as Dr. Holmes says. Dr. Holmes is the man who wrote the Science of Mind text. And my life became oddly, some rather new experiences of some old memories. But it wasn't new, because I could never step outside of the realm of the belief of who I thought I was, of my own identity. Now, true enough, we're constantly building on our identity because we do want to experience new things, right? And sometimes we step out and we're a little adventurous, and sometimes we take a few risks, and that's all wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But we often have that, I won't say never, it's not a good word, but we often have that thing within us that is calling us, and when we really listen, which is often why we don't take time to be still and listen, it's going, come on, you can do this. You have the desire for this. You have the capacity for this. What is stopping you? What is holding you back? So when we talk about the creative process in me, we have to really understand who that me is we're talking about. It is not the me of yesterday. It is not the me of even this moment now in the context of how we think of us as a human being. It is so far beyond that. In this teaching we say we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But the moment we make our human experience less than the spirit and the allness of life itself, we've cut ourselves off from the universal creative process. Not that the universal creative process doesn't always move through us, because it is unchangeable, no matter what we do, what we think, what we've done, what we plan. It is always moving through us. Always. What I mean by we cut ourselves off from it, it means we don't have that beautiful joy and that sense of peace and that excitement and that confidence and that cheerful expectancy of life, because we don't know the important vital role we play in the creation of our experience. That's what I mean. We cut our role out of our experience in life. We always fall back into, oh well, life's doing it to me. I can't, there's nothing I can do about this. Have you said that recently? I just have to let it, it's a good spiritual tool on the steps to our own self-actualization and evolution as divine human beings. Okay, well, the best I can do today is just let it be. I'm just going to let it be. Right? I'm not going to react. I'm just going to observe. Observe. But somewhere in there, we're not saying it, but we still carry the energy, the vibrational energy in our subconscious belief that there's still nothing we can do about it. Now, part of this me in the creative process is not having to necessarily take action in this world of conditions. So we don't have to do anything about it necessarily, but we absolutely must be something in that moment. We must choose how we are going to be about what is going on in our life. The art and science of manifestation. The science is be, do, have. Do you remember hearing that when you were kids or maybe later on in life? Be, do, have. You cannot have that leaf unless you be, and be means believe, be life, be live, be life. Because who we are being is an absolute outpicturing of what we believe we are. Yes? So to change our being, we must change our belief. Leaf. I mean, I don't mean to be doing this pun. Get this leaf out of here. It's just distracting me. So the art of manifestation is in that first step, the being. Because the natural creative process of the unformed energy moving into formed energy is unchangeable. It's always happening. Essence moving into form. The invisible moving into the visible. The absolute realm of creation of God, whatever you want to call it, and the physical realm of result or effect or experience. It's like we have to walk in the middle way, being aware of everything. Right? Because we are the thinker behind the thought, Dr. Holmes says. We are the I am, that individual allness of God, but as uniquely us, right? God expressing itself uniquely as us. But when we put too much focus in the physical realm, and we make ourselves identified with it, by reacting to it or responding to it or liking it or not liking it or preferring something else other than what is, you see, our focus, we trick ourselves because we think maybe we're moving and making a new decision, but we're only making it because we don't like this table. Is this making sense? Joyce, I'm going to check with you because sometimes I talk in a way and you go, what the heck is she saying? How are you doing? You're getting it? Okay. She's my barometer. So the creative process in me is about the being. Can you imagine a world if you just were? But can you? How long? How long? A minute? 5 minutes a day, right? In a world where we just are, means we're spontaneous. Anything we feel or think, we can choose, respond to or not. My big thrill about 5 years ago was for my very first time, was spending one day just doing and being and thinking and feeling whatever came up. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. It was such a revelation for me because I didn't get up with, the unfinished list from the night before. I didn't, wake up and have to do meditation to set my intention of the day. I didn't do any of those things. I just was. It was like, it was like I was in another world. And I quickly wanted to retreat back to the old one because it was foreign and unfamiliar. And I didn't know who I was in that. But this is what the spiritual path is asking us to experience. That we are more than we have always known. That we don't have to hold on to what we know of ourselves in order to live life fully. Yes, we have to be true to ourselves, but what self is that? We are always evolving. It is an art to walk that middle path, to be fully in integrity with yourself, to honor yourself, and as what you truly are, which is God in action. And also to know what your needs are wherever you are in your path of evolution. It's tricky to honor. It's tricky to even know what your needs are because they're always changing if you're not holding on to something of who you were in the past. Wow. There's lots of freedom and choice here in life. This creative process, though, is always working. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make it happen. You don't have to make your thoughts and your plans into something as far as knowing how it's going to happen. Because that is already done for you, because it already exists in the mind of God. You just need to call it. It's like pulling, one of those balloons down or something. Just pull that idea, which you have fully formed in your mind, and you are very clear about, you just pull it down into your experience. Wow. Whoop, it's right in front of me. And then what happens? The winds want to take it, right? Your friends want to play with that idea. They'll be calling you up on the phone and saying, hey, I want your red balloon. I want a little red balloon in my life. And so, you know what? You can share the best of what you have and who you are. Just let it go. Because you know what? You, after you've had that experience, because it's the nature of who we are, to always evolve and want more. Because it is our nature to be more. So I'll let it go. Yeah, there'll be another purple balloon over here, and you'll just do this with it. And that's life. The experience of beingness is the life that we are seeking. It isn't the Ferrari. Because when we get the Ferrari, we've got the Ferrari. And then we're on to the next thing. Okay, well maybe we'll play with it for a month and really get into the Ferrari. And then we're on to the next thing. Right? Because it's the feelingness of being that we're searching for in our relationships, in our things, in our homes, in our jobs, in our careers. I'm reading a book called, one second, Grief Recovery Handbook. And some of you know why I'm reading that. For those of you who don't, my mom passed away 2 months ago. And being a person who walks in life with the idea and the identity that I am a minister and a teacher and a supporter and a friend and a lover and a volunteer and it's sometimes you don't go, well, wait, hold on, what am I feeling? So I've been doing that, and of course I'm feeling a lot. And I'm allowing more feeling to come forward than perhaps I ever have before, which is a great gift of my mom. And of course I always think I know how to do it, right? But I thought, well, maybe I'll grab a book, that just kind of guides me. And in this book, it's very interesting. They said, we know how to acquire things. We know how to get things. We're taught how to acquire, how to achieve, how to succeed, how to get a relationship, how to make money, how to think better. But we're never taught from an early age how to let go. We're never taught how to be in the experience of loss. Well, I was really glad I picked that book up, because I don't know that I ever would have thought of that on my own. Because when we're grieving, we often want to be not grieving. When we're sad and feeling pain, we also often want not to feel that, and we want to move away from that. And so I was thinking about that in terms of the creative process in me. And this be, do, have idea. And if we move if be, do, have is the natural unfoldment of that invisible spiritual prototype into its specific form of energy, and we don't have to worry about the do, have part, we only have to worry about the be part, then I looked at this be part as in not knowing how to let go. What do we have to let go in order to be one in the mind of God, or one in the mind of our own wisdom self? That self, that thing within us that always knows and we don't. What do we have to be? Well, we have to let go of any idea or thought or energy around needing to have anything, especially when you're feeling loss, especially when you're feeling empty. Do not fill the void. That's all you take away today. Don't fill the void, or don't be so anxious or quick to fill the void. Because until we can let go all of our thoughts, and I'm not just talking about the thoughts that stand as obstacles to our good and our empowerment of that connection with God, I'm also talking about the thoughts that move us toward there, because there's always more and different and expansiveness of our own experience of what life is by means of us. Let go of all of it. And until we do that, we can't hear the voice of the wisdom self. And the voice of the wisdom self will always say, you need nothing. You have everything. Go now and be the fullness of this truth in your life. Experience this truth in your life, and take that out and share it with everyone you meet. and never, never, never let go the connection to that truth. How would life be if you just were? No getting, no giving, no having to give. Just surrender to the void where that truth within you may rise and reveal itself anew, providing you the experience that you have long since dreamt, thought of. I don't know if you believe in the soul's evolution through different lifetimes of reincarnation, but something bigger is going on here. And everything you have always been, as the truth of life, is with you now. Everything you will always be, as the truth of all life, is with you now. What would it be like to allow the do-have process unfold in the natural way, in the natural order of unformed energy moving into form, and all you need to do is be? How would life be different? That is the art of manifestation. The science is simply the process of energy moving into form. The choices that you make every day, the words that you speak to support the thoughts and the choices that you make, and the actions in alignment with those words and those thoughts. That's your part in the creative process. But the being, in the science of manifestation rather, but the beingness is the art of manifestation. So, enjoy walking on the middle path, embracing every moment, and resting in the divine that lives within you. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Judy?